Slide. Hey everybody, welcome to Sweden. Now in Europe, Volkswagen sells a huge number of cars we don't get in the US, so the big question is Volkswagen gatekeeping the best stuff from us? Now some of the cars we're talking about today, we don't get at all in the US, like this adorable little Polo GTI. Other cars we get, but only certain versions of. So we're gonna find out today, are we getting the cream of the crop of the Volkswagen lineup, or are we getting the sloppy seconds? This is a Volkswagen Tiguan, except it's not. Well, it is, but it isn't our Tiguan. So in Europe, they get a short wheelbase version of the Tiguan. That's not just wheelbase difference, there are fundamental design differences. So the front end of this Euro Tiguan has these horizontal slits, and it's got this kind of small compact grille, versus the American Tiguan, which is a little bit bigger, a little bit more brash. Much like Americans in general, to be honest. Now you might be thinking, I really wish we got this short wheelbase Tiguan, which is some 9 inches shorter. But the fact of the matter is, I'm not sure this would sell in America, especially when we already have the Taos. In fact, they do get the American Tiguan here in Europe, but it's not called the Tiguan. Now this is the US Tiguan, except Jared, it's not the US Tiguan.
This is the Volkswagen Tyron, which is more similar to our Tiguan, and the Tiguan that Tiguan's here is actually a shorter Tiguan than the Tiguan we get in the United States. So the Tyron is the Tiguan, not the Tiguan. Yeah, don't think about it.
Clear as mud.
Yes.
What you need to know is that even though it's got a different name, this is essentially what we're getting in the States as the Tiguan XL, I'm gonna call it. Now, the front end is pretty different in a lot of ways. So this grille treatment, very wide, very tall, more angular, even though the headlights are similar, but the big change is around the side. We have an extended wheelbase, but this quarter panel is wild. It is so much different than the European Tiguan, and this strip of chrome here, in my mind, especially with this rectangular taillight, very reminiscent of the Grand Cherokee.
Yes, it does look like that hockey puck Jeep design there.
But we're gonna do something here that we can't do in the States.
Yes.
Because the Tyron has a third row of seats.
Now the Tiguan used to have a third row in the second generation, but they got rid of it, and we're about to find out why. Because Tommy, hold on, before you put the seat there, we're already gonna notice a problem. Here's Tommy's knee, and here's where the seat is over there on that side. So you can see that there's gonna be a problem when we put the seat back. And then look at the legroom. Now that is Tommy's legroom when this person has none. So maybe if there's a car seat there, sure, fine. But again, this would be nice in a pinch if you had small children or something like that. Not a lot of vehicles in this segment have that. I think the Mitsubishi Outlander might actually be the only one, if I'm not mistaken. I can't think of any others in that segment that still have a third row.
We can cut the video here, Jared, because I think I'm dead forever.
I think we need to do surgery on Tommy to get him out of this vehicle.
That's good. There is one more wild thing about this interior. These seats are crazy in this European Tyron.
So this is the R-Line trim. So I don't think we're getting anything like this on the Tiguan in the United States, but this is our plea to Volkswagen because we really do like this seat.
Yeah.
It's got this nice blue accenting, like it's kind of Golf R light. It's got this gorgeous pattern here in cloth. Maybe you'd have to make this leather because, you know, the US, we're obsessed with leather, but you get this nice suede. Now this is actually a massaging seat, just like the one in the Tiguan that we showed, Ergo Active, but it's manually adjustable, manual slide, manual tilt, manual backrest adjustment as well, but with massage. That is something they would never do in the US. So it would have to be a power seat, but I love how comfortable these seats are. They're just as comfortable as the regular Tiguan seats, but they have this nice bolstering that holds you in tight, and they look fantastic as well.
Now, Jared, we can get a quick first look at what our rear seats can be like, and actually this is very spacious. Tons of legroom, tons of headroom. It's very roomy in here. So this is a fantastic rear seat. I'm excited that we're going to get this amount of space. And if you're upset we're not getting a third row in the Tiguan, it's partly because we have the Atlas, right? Which, even though this car looks huge for Europe, the Atlas is even bigger.
Much bigger.
This is a Volkswagen Golf. And you're thinking at this point, we've had Golfs for years, I know all about them. And you're right, we've had, and you do, but we actually don't get this Golf in the US, not because this is a rare prototype all-wheel drive Golf, but because this is the standard Golf. We only get the high-performance Golfs in the US, while in Europe, they still get the average run-of-the-mill Golfs. However, in Germany, they don't get the Jetta. So it's kind of a compromise. Would you rather have a Golf and live in Europe, or have a Jetta and live in the States? Now this is the Golf we're familiar with in the States, the Volkswagen Golf R. This is the top of the line all-wheel drive Volkswagen Golf hatchback. Now for 2025, the power is up about 13 horsepower, but it's lost something very unfortunate. It's lost the manual transmission. There's no more stick Golf R anywhere, and that's unfortunate, but for folks that wanted it, guys, we were actually fortunate as US consumers, because in Germany they've only ever for years and years and years gotten the Golf R in the auto, and we've had the manual. It's a shame that it's gone away in the US with the stick, but at least we had it for a bunch of years. Those right there are the Volkswagen Golf R, and so is this one. But this one's a long boy. This is the Golf R station wagon, or as it's known, the Golf R variant. One of the coolest versions of the Volkswagen Golf you can buy. And speaking of wagons, this is the ultimate Volkswagen wagon. I think I said that right. This is the Passat variant, which means it's a station wagon. Let's check it out. Many moons ago, we did get a Passat station wagon in the US, but that was several generations ago. Then Volkswagen decided the Passat needed to be Americanized, and they made it bigger and fatter and, well, worse in every way, and then it died. But overseas, the Passat has continued, and this is the latest, the Passat variant. Now, this is kind of the holy grail enthusiast car for us Americans, because it's a station wagon, it's all-wheel drive, and it's powered by a diesel engine. Plus, it's green. So this is the car that all car guys say they want in the US, but let's take a look at it. The design is in line with all new Volkswagen products. We have that continuous light bar across the front, and the new flat Volkswagen badge, and the big grille. It's got big wheels, but it's a fairly elegant station wagon design, and in a cool color. It really stands out from the crowd. And then of course we come to the rear. Let's check out the trunk space. Absolutely cavernous. Obviously not very tall, but it seems to go on forever. And this is pretty cool. This is a power retractable tonneau cover. So check this out. If I close the trunk lid, just like that, and then if I open it up, it should retract automatically because it knows I am home and I want to get my stuff. Very clever engineering. Now let's check out the inside of this Passat. It is surprisingly luxurious. We have these suede on leather seats with the white piping, which looks just incredible. We have the big 15-inch Volkswagen screen. We have the start button down here, and we have the shifter up here, which is a little bit unique. That diesel engine starting into life. These are not like diesels that Volkswagen produced in the 80s. These are quiet and refined, and of course we're never going to get them in the US, but very impressed with this interior. It's also got really cool ambient lighting at night. The big question, of course, is would the big green station wagon sell in the US? No, absolutely it would not. Folks, there's a reason that these manufacturers don't bring station wagons into the States, and it's not because they hate us, it's not because they don't like making money, it's because you people aren't buying them. The reality is us Americans are crossover obsessed, and even though these cars tend to drive better, are sleeker, and often get better fuel economy, we just don't want them. Bummer. Now that car is an interesting story. What you're looking at there is the ID.7 GTX Tourer. Now, those familiar with the ID.7 would know this car was initially slated to come to the US, but they recently announced that this car would not be coming to the US. So let's check it out, see if we're missing out. The ID.7 is a low, long, and wide sedan and or station wagon. Now, the version we were supposed to get in the States was a sedan, which looks like this. It's kind of a lumpy looking car if I'm being transparent about it, but the wagon is actually very attractive, especially in this rich red with the black combination. Now this car is rated to go 365 miles on WLTP, which is almost Guaranteed that it won't do that because WLTP is very over-optimistic, but it has an 86 kilowatt-hour battery. It's got all-wheel drive in this GTX version, so 340 horsepower, 401 pound-feet of torque. The best part, though, is the interior. They did a really nice job, once again, with this interior. I think Volkswagen's kind of killing it on the insides. We got this cool suede and then leatherette finish with the red piping, but my favorite feature in here, let me hop on in. I quite like the red GTX and some of the red sporty accents, but this is fantastic. We got this little screen here located in front of the driver, which is just the perfect amount of information. My range, my percentage, and then everything else is controlled in this 15-inch display. But I love the ambient lighting. I think it's a pretty cool car. I'm just not sure it would sell in the US. You know, once again, we're going back to that crossover crazy US market, and something like that, which even though it's not really much taller, just looks taller, I think is a better seller than what the IDX would do. Or the ID7, sorry. Now that right there is a car we do get in the US. Sort of. That's a Volkswagen ID4 and it's got GTX badging along the side, which I was really excited about because I thought it was like a hot performance version with 600 horsepower. But no, it's just a standard dual motor like we get in the US. However, here in Europe, they also get an ID3, which is like a little baby version of an ID4, and an ID5, which is like a sporty coupe version or coupe version of the ID4. ID4 sells well in the US. It's got some great incentives. I don't really think we need the 3 or the 5, to be totally honest with you. Polo! Now this is a case where I'm very jealous of you viewers in the EU because the Polo is a small economy car. But not this one. This is the Polo GTI. You take the GTI formula of turbo power, apply it to a small car, lower the suspension, give it some better brakes, and boom, you got an instant hot hatch collectible. This car is about 8 inches shorter than a Golf, so it's really small, but it offers some really cool features. The Polo GTI is powered by a 2-liter turbo engine, just like our Golf GTI, except it's way down on power. This little guy only makes 204 horsepower, but because it is so small and lightweight, it will still hit 60 miles an hour in under 6.5 seconds. The interior is so retro cool. We have these iconic GTI red, black, and gray seats. We have the bolstered steering wheel with the red stitching. It's fairly basic across the center stack, but you gotta figure this car only cost about 30,000 euros, which is a lot of money for a car that at one point competed with the Fiesta ST, but for 2025 standards, that's pretty affordable for a hot hatch. I do apologize for the hat. I know I look ridiculous, but it's very cold here in Sweden. Very cold here in Sweden. Now, the only thing I don't like about this Polo, it's only available with a 7-speed DSG transmission, but it's a small, compact car that's relatively affordable, does great gas mileage, and sounds pretty cool. This is a car I am extremely jealous is available in Europe and not in the US. There are several other cars as well, not pictured in this video, Volkswagen sells here, primarily a whole range of small, relatively inexpensive to pretty expensive crossovers like the T-Roc, the T-Cross, the Taiga, all with kind of befuddling names, and one of them is even a convertible, which is pretty cool, but the rest, I feel like we have enough crossovers in the US. We're good on those. And then, the vehicles we are really missing out on. The vans! Volkswagen sells a whole series of vans in Europe we don't get in the US, like the Caddy, like the Multivan, of course the Buzz, we get the Buzz, but these affordable, customizable vans are so cool. Especially the California camper vans would be immensely successful in the US. Some of the most popular videos we've ever done have been around the California vans, and those are the vehicles that Volkswagen needs to bring. Those are the ones I am most jealous of. Not the Polo GTI, not the ID7, the vans! Give us the vans! There are cars we get in the US too that they don't get in most of Europe, like the Atlas and even like the Jetta, which in GLI form with the stick is a fantastic vehicle. It's really, really good. And I have to say, there's not a lot of vehicles I feel like we're missing out on, like has been the case in the past for so many Volkswagens. I almost forgot the coolest vehicle Volkswagen makes in my mind. It's not even a car at all, it's a truck. This is the Volkswagen Amarok. which is a 4-door crew cab mid-sized truck, which I believe is now based on the Ford Ranger. But because of the chicken tax, we don't get it in the States, but this is a cool looking truck. It really has a nice design, super chiseled, squared off, chunky, body on frame, 4-wheel drive. Yeah, that's a cool truck right there. So look, there are some cars that I definitely wish we got in the US, like the Golf R variant, like the Touareg, like the Polo GTI, but for the most part, we get the staples. We have the Tiguan, we have the best Golfs, we have the Jetta GLI, which is very good, we have the ID Buzz, which is also very good. So there's not a ton of vehicles I feel like we in the States are really missing out on from what I've seen today. There's some cool stuff here for sure, but for the most part, we have good alternatives and good options, and in some cases even better than what Europe has. Let me know what you guys think in the comment section below. Head over to alltfl.com where we got more videos. Thanks for watching.